Tonight, how the Lancashire children are given hope to thousands of African orphans.
To me, I think the Northwest has actually saved these children's lives. Because these children here, without the Northwest people, they wouldn't have survived. Most of them, they would have died.
Welcome to this evening's Granada Edition. We've travelled over 5,000 miles to a small district in Malawi. Recently, Madonna attracted media attention by adopting a child from this African state. But 7 years ago, a woman living in Lancashire could not believe how many orphans were begging on the streets in the place she was born. Today, her charity supports over 4,000 orphans, and with the help of the school children of the Northwest, will help them to build a brighter future for themselves.
Perhaps not the usual pictures of African children seen on our televisions. These children are happy, fed, being educated and receive medical care when needed. Yet Malawi does have its problems. There is poverty and life expectancy is only around 40. A whole generation of parents have been wiped out by AIDS and other illness. But these orphans do have a future, and it's partly down to the efforts of people here in the Northwest. They are led by a woman, Mary Woodworth from Preston, who works tirelessly to raise awareness and funding to support these orphans and their communities.
But I was born and brought up in Malawi. Where is Malawi? In Africa. That's the biggest continent in the world, isn't it? And in Malawi, we look after orphans. We run this organization called FOMO, Friends of Mulanje Orphans. It means we look after the orphans, children without any mummies or daddies.
Today, she's at a local primary school collecting uniforms which have been donated by the Willow School in Preston. These clothes and other essentials will be loaded into a giant container and shipped out to her impoverished home district of Mulanje.
This is just assortment, really, of some clothes items. You can see there's some shoes. They have to, when they go to secondary school, they have to wear shoes. Without shoes, they are chased out of school. They have to have the shoes. These chairs, they're from a primary school in Omskek. They came last night, for the children. Hopefully we're going to use them in our school, because the schools, they have no desks, no chairs. The children just sit on the floor. Because in Malawi, you don't receive, sort of education materials. You have to buy your own materials to get to school.
Hi. Hi, we've been wanting to get shut up here.
Mulanje Primary School is very different to the way it was when Mary attended school here 30 years ago. This now run-down school suffers from an acute shortage of vital materials.
Education is the best gift you can give to a child. Without education here, you can't go out of poverty, can you? It's the only way out of poverty that you can stand up on your own. We need to take the whole roof out and replace it with the new roof. The windows need to be replaced. And, so all the classes here, they need to be painted. Then we need some chairs. They're using the stones outside as their chairs. The whole place is just dilapidated, and it's really upset me, to tell you the truth, to come here and see what the children have to go through.
The Friends of Mulanje Orphans started 7 years ago by Mary and her husband Keith after she returned to Malawi for her father's funeral.
When I arrived, and obviously it was sad moment and all that, but when I went at the back of our house, I found so many children just lingering around. I thought, oh, they'll go in a minute. But to my surprise, they stayed overnight and they were just sleeping everywhere. And then the following day, I asked some people, the ladies were sitting there, I said, what are these children doing here? What is going on? And she said, don't you know, these are orphans. They're here because we cook food to feed the people who comes to support us. And this is the only way they can find food, or else they'll go and beg in the street. When I left to go, I was so disturbed that I couldn't stop telling everybody, even my husband. Then I persuaded my husband to come back. He hadn't been here for 14 years. And we walked around and all that stuff, and he saw it himself. And I said, can we at least look after these children in the village where I came from? And we started with 20 children leader just by feeding them.
It now cares for more than 4,000 orphans, supporting them and their extended families with whom they now live. Currently, there are 9 day centres.
The objectives of FORM is just education, food, and healthy. Really. So what happened is the children goes to school in the morning, and in the afternoon they go to the nearest center. When they arrive, there's food there. They eat food. After food, they do all different activities. It's practical help, and also because it's direct aid. I mean, we send containers, don't we? And we have to raise money to send that container to get here. And those clothes, those shoes that people gives us, soap, whatever you name it, is in the container, is direct aid to the children, and we follow the their progress.
In the charity's first year, they looked after around 20 orphans, and approximately 3 would die each month. Last year, they looked after 3,600, and only 1 died in the whole year. The Billiat family is among those being helped. There are 6 orphans living with an aunt, an uncle, and their own 2 children.
Hello, my name is Yoram Stephen.
Hello, my name is Anna Dixon.
Hello, my name is Rav Mosem Karan.
Hello, my name is Julie.
Hello, my name is Ruth Manyumba.
Hello, my name is Becca Juma.
Their parents have been dying one after another, just like that. So we said, what are we going to do with these children? That's when I called Paul, the uncle. I said, can you manage, or do you want us to take these children? And he said, oh no, we'll try and look after. If you're there, and with my odd jobs, we'll try and keep them together.
Uncle Paul makes what living he can from chopping and selling firewood, but it's not enough to support a family of 10. Conditions for the family are cramped and basic, and with only 1 bedroom for the children to share, it's hardly 5-star accommodation. However, with no one else to care for them, this is preferable to living on the streets. Each day starts with a simple meal of sweet potatoes before the children set off for school. Mary's team works hard to engage the children in various activities, one of the main ones being football. The kids here love the game, despite not having the proper balls or boots to play in. However, this lack of basic equipment doesn't seem to dampen their skill levels or their enthusiasm for the game.
There is a talent in Mulanje, but they don't have resources. They've started playing football by making their own footballs from out of rubbish, like plastic bags, rubber band and all that, and just kicking. We don't have any goals, and all they just make it out of normal wood.
The children are thrilled to receive an unexpected visit from their heroes, the Malawi national football team, along with their English coach.
Some of them are playing abroad. You're going to beat Morocco, yes?
Yes.
Definitely, yeah?
It's been a long time since I knocked about with internationals, but I decided to dust down the boots and join in with the kids for a training session.
Yeah? This is you. Go. This.
people here are doing a good job, looking after these orphans, about 4,000 of them. My players are well aware of how lucky they are, and it's nothing for them to come down and spend a bit of time and give the kids encouragement, and I think it's been a good for everyone. I have 3 daughters myself, and it's you come here and you just appreciate more what we have in other parts of the world than they do here, and yet they're so happy, and it's just an incredible attitude to life.
Mary.
Thank you for coming, everybody. God bless you.
For this young man, the future could have consisted of begging on the streets with no schooling or access to medicine. The work of Mary and Keith changed all that.
I couldn't have a future, I can say it like that, because as you can see, I was lacking parental care, love. When I get registered at FOMO, I'm getting all those things. I'm studying business administration, that's at Sherwood Open University in Blantyre, and now the hope which was lost in me has been brought back. I'm having now great vision, and I'm hoping to do great things in the near future.
After the break, I took the road to Mozambique for a driving lesson, African style.
I've got the idea now. They look. They move over.
Stunning Mount Malanje, or as the locals call it, the island in the sky. Under its watchful gaze, primary school children go about their daily business much as they do in England. But schooling for these children is a daily struggle without the basic resources. One way to help these children is providing classroom essentials such as furniture, books, even uniforms donated by the schools in the northwest.
The Willow School donated a school uniform which we distributed at school and some at the center. The Willow's clothes, they're obviously, smart clothes, and those clothes they will use it for school and church. They go to church in them. The Willows, yeah? Yeah, that's a good out to the TN.
Mary set up the computer school to teach the children and the wider community valuable IT skills using equipment donated by Northwest businesses.
Microsoft Word, practical. So are you writing a letter or something? As you can see, these computers, they're very important because if the child is learning skills about computers, they can find a job in the offices, like government administration offices, where they need, computer skills and all that.
Each day centre has its own library filled with books as well as computers, allowing the children somewhere quiet to study. For children like the Billiots, it's a perfect environment in which to do their homework.
So, we start with warning signs.
Another way of transforming people's lives is by teaching them to drive. I decided to take a lesson. Malawi has one of the worst rates of fatal accidents on the roads in the world. Hardly surprising due to the number of bicycles and pedestrians. And I thought the M60 was dangerous. Driving is an important skill to learn with little or no public transport in Malawi.
I've got the idea now. They look. They move over.
Another life skill taught is tailoring, which teaches knitting and sewing. It also provides a vital source of clothes for the children.
Here at FOMO, I'm just a volunteer. I train the children how to knit jerseys, scarves, hats. We are trying to make them independent when they grow up. They must learn some skills so that they don't have to depend on handouts all the time. They must learn to do something for themselves.
The centres grow much of their own produce in an effort to provide a source of fresh fruit and vegetables for the children to eat, whilst at the same time helping the local community to become more self-sufficient. The crops grown in these gardens provide 15% of the food required each year by the centre.
We did seed appeal in Lancashire and we collected about 8,000 packets of seeds. And vegetables are very, very important, to the children's health. So we're trying to encourage, the community, the children, to grow their own vegetables. We've got cabbage, Chinese cabbage there. We've got, carrots. We've got pineapples. We've got bananas. We've got all different types of vegetables. We have chickens at Kumamba. We have chickens at Kadewere. They are producing eggs, so we don't have to go and buy eggs. We just buy, obviously, chicken feed. This time, for the first time, I've tested the honey produced by FOMO children, and it was fantastic, really wonderful. And all this, we're just trying to be self-sufficient so that we don't go back to famine or suffering and all that.
Before any centre can be built, it is vital that there is a plentiful supply of fresh water. This usually means the drilling of a borehole.
Water is very important. Last year I came here in October. They had really big problems with water. It was dry. That river you saw the other day, it was dried out.
Digging a well doesn't have to be expensive or problematic, as husband Keith explains.
Basically, we had two alternatives. What we could do is actually get a machine in and actually bore it in one single day. But Friends of Melange Orphans feels that it would be better to put the money into the local community. So these gentlemen here have actually spent time digging this well by hand. It takes about a week and the result is the same, but the money goes into the local economy, which we feel is better.
Many of the children suffer from HIV, malaria and other life-threatening illnesses. Each centre is equipped with its own clinic to treat the sick.
Malaria kills so many children here, especially under 5s. So we need to take them straight to the doctors, so they're given malaria tablets.
Justino Kalula, the matron of the Kawamba Centre, has her work cut out.
I treat children when they have got wounds, headache, suffering from stomach. They have got malaria, and some of them, they have got HIV positive. So I take those children to the Melange mission.
Last year, we only lost one child. That was tremendous. I know this year we've lost one child, but that was due to HIV/AIDS. We do get upset and disappointed, because it's part of the family, one of the families.
Mary relies on the help of volunteers, both in Malawi and from the UK, people like Dave Armstrong.
The stories of the orphans is very distressing, and so I come out here to make sure that I spend time with them. They don't have dads and mums, so I'm like an uncle to them, like Keith and Mary, and I love coming out here, spending time with them. Just playing with them in the nursery, taking them out on trips, helping with the food, delivering and distributing clothes to the children. I love to make sure that the aid that we get in the UK is delivered directly to our orphans that are most needy.
The children of Melange's passion for football cannot be underestimated. the English FA have lent their support by sending out coaches to help the kids hone their skills.
Mary was very keen when we came out that we didn't go back in 2 weeks and then that would be the end of it. So I thought it was a great idea that we coach the older boys to become coaches, and then obviously they can continue the work around the centres, and it will be an ongoing thing, and maybe, who knows, some of these boys can come to England and do a higher level of coaching certificates.
After the sessions they go away and write everything down, and within a couple of hours they're delivering the sessions spot on. I've worked with a lot of kids in the UK, and the kids over here are second to none. They're brilliant.
These children, I've got to say, are the best behaved kids I've ever coached.
There is great anticipation and happiness in the air as Mary arrives at Tambala to open her 10th centre. As ever, the children's appetite for a sing-song is astonishing. The centre will become the focal point of the whole community. So it's not surprising that its opening has met with universal enthusiasm, as both the children and the adults perform an impressive display of live entertainment. Finally, Mary gets to cut the ribbon, and we all party well into the evening.
These children, they think formal is their parent. That's what they say, it's their parent, because their parents left them alone. Then we picked them up. It's like we're giving them a hope, like a chance of life.
Thanks for joining us on Granada Edition. It's been a fantastic evening. Now let's leave it for the children.